Sam, welcome to the podcast, mate.
Thanks for having me.
Mate, thanks for coming in for a chat. Look, when I'm preparing for my podcast, the first place I usually start is like my guest's Instagram account.
Yeah.
And when I sort of scroll back through your pictures, mate, the person sitting in front of me today looks very different to the version of Sam that was kicking about in 2020. So it looks like it's been like a remarkable transformation.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what I'm more impressed with, mate. Whether it's like the comeback of the hairline or the reduction in the waistline. So,
lose weight and you get a new head of hair.
Yeah, that's it, mate. Look, you look great. You look absolutely like it's night and day. Like I was at dinner with some friends last night. I was like, yeah, I've got this guy coming on the podcast tomorrow night, or tomorrow during the day. And I showed them the picture of you. I think it was a picture of you running at the World Championships there. And then I showed them that one of the roller pictures, and they couldn't believe it, mate. So, mate, it's incredible. It's incredible. Speaking of the World Championships, mate, you're just back from the Ironman World Championships. How was that?
Good. I mean, it was like a privilege just to be there. I mean, I did my first Ironman, 18 months ago? So that was June last year. So to have done my second one in December and then qualify for the World Champs this year was just like out of this world. I couldn't believe I even got a spot in the first place. But yeah, it was great. And I think what was great as well was because it was in France, I had friends and family from England come over and they've not seen that side of things because I've only ever done that in Australia. I mean, my dad flew over and watched me do one last year, but to have like all my family there, some friends, and kind of see what it is I do now. And like you just said, it's kind of night and day compared to what the version of me that they know from when I lived back in England.
Well, let's start with touching on that version because I want to know about that version of Sam first because I think it gives the whole thing context. So like tell me about that version of Sam that your family and friends back in the UK know, that version of Sam that was living in Australia pre-triathlon as well. Like what sort of guy were you? What did your routine look like? What did you do for work? All of that.
Well, I didn't have a routine at all. Like I just was very overweight, very unhealthy, kind of would go out drinking a few nights in the week and all throughout the weekend. Kind of very unhappy in myself, unhappy with, everything I would say, my appearance, the person that I was, suffered quite badly with like depression, anxiety, and then the drinking kind of added to that and struggled with panic attacks and really had bad mental health for pretty much my entire adult life.
So where did all that come from? Like looking back, where did all that come from?
It kind of started probably in my teenage years. I think I just tried to mask everything with drinking. So like...
What were you masking?
Just how unhappy I was. Unhappy about in every aspect of my life. Like I was unhappy, like I just said, like with my appearance, the way I looked, just what I was doing. I just wasn't a happy person. Hated myself.
So is it one of these scenarios where, say in your late teens or your early 20s, you just get into a bad routine with a group of friends and the drinking, the partying, maybe anything else that goes on top of that, that all contributes to how you look, how you feel,
100%.
The thoughts in your head. And then you kind of just get trapped in that cycle. So Sam, were you like trapped in one of these?
Trapped for years, from like being a teenager until I kind of turned my life around when I was 30. So for throughout definitely my latter teenage years and definitely my 20s, it was just in this path of, cycle of self-destruction. And every weekend that I went out and got drunk and done them things, it just added to it. And just more and more the hatred towards myself just grew over a 10, 12, 13 year period.
Just a quick word from me, guys, and please don't skip over this. Do you want a free coffee from me? We're making some really good progress on Spotify and YouTube. I've set myself a goal of having 1,000 followers on Spotify and 1,000 subscribers on YouTube by the end of 2025. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to pause this episode right now, jump into your Spotify app, click that follow button, then jump into your YouTube app, click that subscribe button. It really, really helps with the show, and it would mean an awful lot to me. And as a thank you to everyone that does that, here's what I'm proposing. If you see me out and about in person, and you can show me on your phone that you are subscribed to the podcast on YouTube and following it on Spotify, I'll buy you a coffee. Can't say fairer than that. But here's the thing, you've got to be subscribed on YouTube and following it on Spotify to qualify for that free coffee. How does that sound? Cheers. You see it all the time, right? Like you say, like you were, sounds like in those scenarios, you were deeply unhappy with yourself. And then the drinking and the partying was probably a little like temporary escapism.
Yeah.
With a group of friends probably. And then the Sunday morning when you wake up, you're probably
horrific.
Like back into that cycle. And then what's happened on the Saturday night is just intensified.
Yeah.
All that again, it's just added 100%. To the pile that you're not addressing. Yeah. You talked about like panic attacks. Tell me about them.
Yeah, they kind of reared their head. I lived in New Zealand for a year, and like my drinking got out of control there.
What does that look like?
I lived in Queenstown, so you live in like this resort town. Everyone's just kind of there on a gap year or more. You kind of are all earning crap money, working in hospitality, and just there to have a good time. But I'd been traveling the year before that, I guess, but you're traveling, you're doing stuff every day, you're trying to see the world. When I got to New Zealand, I didn't have my parents there kind of keeping me in check. I had them breathing down my neck when I lived in England, and I didn't have that when I got to New Zealand. So like, I mean, it was probably the first time I woke up in the morning and carried on drinking from the night before. It was just wild. Like, we'd just go out on like benders for days, drinking all day long into the night. Yeah, I was just out of control. And I think that's the first time I had a panic attack. I remember kind of like locking myself in a bathroom in our house, and I genuinely thought I was dying or like having a heart attack. I couldn't breathe. And it was like during a hangover, it was like the morning after I'd been out on a big piss up. And yeah, just on the bathroom floor, couldn't breathe, like genuinely thought I was dying.
Did you know it was a panic attack at the time?
No, I wasn't really sure what it was. It's kind of like really fuzzy. I don't really remember it that well, the first one. But like after that, I remember speaking to my mum and being a bit like, she was like, I think you've had a panic attack there. And then we put two and two together. I'd suffered with anxiety for a while. I'd been really depressed. So they all kind of like go hand in hand, right?
Yeah. Panic attacks are horrible, mate.
They're horrible.
I've had one before, but like I kind of look back at that panic attack as like that's probably like my rock bottom moment. And it was after that panic attack, that's when I decided to take a real look at like myself, my behaviors, my habits. And that's when I sort of like turn things around. That panic attack you had in New Zealand,
it wasn't a turning point.
It doesn't sound like it was a turning point. It sounded like you just sort of carried on.
Yeah.
So
I remember having another one like not that long after. I'm walking into a pub and having a panic attack, like kind of walking into this pub, and it was just horrific. Again, had to go and lock myself in the toilet, like couldn't breathe, felt like I was having a heart attack. It's like the hardest feeling to explain what they are, but you genuinely feel like you can't function, like you're frozen. Yeah, very horrible.
What would trigger it?
It all just involved drinking, if I'm honest. Like anything involving drinking.
So if you'd had a big one,
the night before,
you'd have the panic attack the next day.
Yeah.
Was it ever like mid-session? Would you have a panic attack?
No, I don't remember ever having one like
midnight out.
No, but like we say after a big night out, like we done once like 16 big nights out in a row there. Like the lifestyle was just wild. So like, again, it's just an accumulation of my mental health over that period.
Yeah. And you talked about over this period, like there's a lot of anxiety.
Yeah.
You're depressed. Did you ever go and see a professional to try and sort of get help? Like what?
Not at that time. And that's something that I've done since triathlon, since turning my life around. That's something I've kind of invested in to help build myself. I've seen a therapist, and that's been very beneficial to me. It's not something I've continued on with, not for any other reason. I think I kind of got to a point where I felt like I'd got out of it all that I could. But yeah, at that time, I don't even think it would have entered my head to have gone and seen someone.
No, was there no one like any friends or parents or family saying to you, hey, like maybe you want to go and have a chat with a professional, go to the doctor? And
my mum's always been, I say that, she actually did send me to a counsellor years ago. I actually got done for drink driving twice back in England when I was younger, again, out of control. And they kind of gave me an ultimatum then and made me give up drink. And I did it for like a year. And she made me go and see a counsellor then, which I did a couple of sessions there. I don't really know what happened to that. That kind of fell by the wayside. And then after that is when I left and went travelling like the year after that. So that all kind of...
So you did like a year off the booze, and but then just went travelling.
And then I went travelling, and then it was like, not got my mum breathing down my neck anymore. There's no ultimatum.
Yeah,
I'll start drinking again.
So let's... You've set the scene. So you eventually ended up in Sydney. You made your way from New Zealand to Sydney, and then but you're just still in that cycle of
100%.
What did you have, like a corporate job or something?
Yeah, so I've always had, well, not when I was in New Zealand, but I've always, from the age of 16, I kind of worked in construction. The place I worked back in England then put me through university, and I got qualified as a quantity surveyor, and then kind of came to Australia, did that for a few years, and then moved into project management consulting.
But in that job and in that, so I'm just trying to hone in on your routine. Then it was in Sydney. Had that. It sounds like a good job, project manager for a good construction company. But then was it still boozing through the week, boozing all weekend, no exercise, shit diet?
Yeah, all of that. All of that. Yeah.
So where was the turning point, Sam? Like how long? What tell me about the turning point.
It was COVID.
Okay.
The first lockdown in COVID was just pretty wild for me.
So the 2020 lockdown?
The first one that we had. I just carried on. Like I was still going to house parties at weekends. I was very selfish, a very, very selfish version of myself. So I just carried on as normal. Like COVID didn't matter to me. And I just was still having pretty wild weekends, still drinking a lot, partying. And then that year was all a bit weird because we was like went into lockdowns, went out. And then I don't know if you remember the Christmas period. It was like, I think Manly kind of area was in a lockdown. We weren't here, but you could only have tables of 10 people. And during that kind of period as well, I just kind of got into fitness. I decided I wanted to lose some weight. I was sick of looking the way that I did. So the weight loss thing come first.
Yeah.
I went on a diet, lost a bit of weight.
So how did you make that decision? Like, where did that come from?
That was during that first lockdown. I was like, I've got time here. So although I was still boozing and stuff, it was like, I've got the opportunity to lose a bit of weight. Like we're at home a lot.
Did you have any help? Like, was there a friend saying, "Oh, I'll help you"? Did you get? I
didn't have any friends helping at that time. I did get a PT who used to train me over a park during lockdown, and a bloke kind of helped me with the diet side of things. And I managed to lose like a few kilos during that time. Then
still boozing? Or
I was still boozing, yeah.
But you were just a bit more active and the diet was a little bit better, so you shed a few kilos.
So maybe I weren't drinking during the week and then was just drinking at the weekends and stuff.
And you'll naturally shed a few kilos by making those changes.
100%. And then I kind of had decided during that time, like, right, I'd started doing a boot camp down on Bondi Beach, and I was living in Waterloo, and I was like, right, I want to move. I was living with these two boys, and our house was like a proper party house, and I was like, got to the point where I was like, I'm never going to be able to make a change in the environment that I'm in. Like, I need to change the environment to improve my life.
Let's hone in on this for a sec. So that desire to make a change, it feels like you'd been resisting that for a long time.
Yeah, probably.
You were unhappy, but all of a sudden there is a desire there.
Yeah.
And you're starting to think about taking actions to make a change. When did that start, and like how did that come about? Because I'm always interested in that nearly that light bulb moment where people are like, right, something's got to fucking change, or else I'm on a bad path here, and I don't want to go down it. I want to explore a new path. Basically.
Yeah, I don't know. The light bulb moment weren't then. I don't know what caused me to do that in the first place. I think it was just to try and lose a bit of weight. And then it was because I weren't drinking. I didn't want to be in that house all the time where everyone was drinking all the time. I wanted to get up on a Saturday morning and go down to Bondi and do my boot camp. So I moved into a little studio flat here. Living by myself and not being in a great headspace paired together, kind of, that was when things went really downhill. So I'd started to kind of try and improve my life, but I actually went down before I went up. And I think it was the Christmas of 2020, it just got way worse. I weren't leaving the little studio flat that I lived in.
Because of the internal chatter?
Yeah, I couldn't get out of bed. I wasn't washing. Like, there was a 3-week period where I just did not leave that little studio flat. And like, when I did leave, panic attacks, anxiety, was just in such a bad way.
So again, my guess there, and you tell me if I'm wrong, my guess there is that's probably like, so you've went sober, so you're not using alcohol to like escape every couple of days or every weekend. It's probably the first period in a very long time where there's been that sustained period of sobriety. That's probably like a lot of like trauma and 100%. Things that
I've got to sit with myself and sit with my thoughts.
Yes. And whereas you'd been blocking out those thoughts for years using alcohols and whatever else, right? So that's that time in that little studio flat. That's probably the first time you sort of sat with your own thoughts for a very long time. And there's a lot can fucking come up.
Yeah.
And it can be really uncomfortable.
It was awful. It was awful. The studio flat didn't add to it either, because I lived in this it was a little room, and like I had a little balcony, but it was like looked out onto a brick wall. It was just it was so dark in there. Like, it was just a depressing period.
Yeah.
And I kind of, as we got into that Christmas period, and it was that weird time when like it was the tables of 10 and everyone's plans were all over the place, I just felt completely alone. Like, I couldn't be with my family back in England. I couldn't even really be with my friends here because there was all these rules in place. Like, I didn't know what I was doing for Christmas. I didn't know what I was doing for New Year's. Like, and also to add to that, I just didn't want to get out of my bed. I didn't want to leave my front door. So that was kind of the real rock bottom when I got there, and it was just it was horrible. New Year's Eve was kind of when I went around a friend's house, and that was the first time I'd left the flat in a couple of weeks.
How did that feel?
Oh, like horrific. Like, yeah, horrific. Like, just leaving that front door. I used to like try and leave the front door to go and get like coffee in the morning, and it was just like pure anxiety. Like, I couldn't do it. I found it so hard.
So how did you get past this period? And look, Sam, I think that's a common journey, the one that you've been on. Like, you usually find when people are trying to make a big change coming from like a boozy background, it can get worse before it gets better.
100%.
So when did it start to get better? How did you turn it around then?
So New Year's Eve, again, like in a really bad place, decided to go out and get pissed.
First time in a while?
No, I had actually drunk on Christmas Day, but I hadn't drunk for a little while before that. New Year's Eve went out, got absolutely slaughtered, caused World War III with like mates. Was like, that's what it used to be like. Like, I'd cause murders when I had a drink.
Like arguing with friends?
Yeah, I was a pain in the arse. Absolute pain in the arse. Always in aggravation, always drama wrapped around me. Like, just, like I said before, like selfish, didn't give a shit about no one else.
Well,
like,
it stems from like you being unhappy inside.
100%.
Putting that
hurt people. Yeah. And I went out, was an absolute idiot. And then that was it. I was just like, I'd obviously felt so shit for them couple of weeks, struggling with suicidal thoughts and stuff. And then that night I rang my mum and was like, I'm done. Like, I don't want to be here no more. Like, I'm just sick of this. Like,
sorry, you phoned your mum
told
to
her,
say
like,
that you're done with life?
Yeah. Didn't want to be here no more. Like, was just, done. Wanted to give up.
What did your mum say?
We just spoke for ages, and I just remember her being like, nothing's this bad. Like, you can make a change. Like, everything you're doing to yourself is you're doing it to yourself. Like, all of the drinking, all of the partying, you're doing that. You're causing this. Like, I've obviously not got great mental health in the first place, but all of this stuff you're doing is just adding to it. You're not making any positive moves to help yourself. It was a very long conversation. She was just like, look, if you need to come back here, we'll sort out getting you back to England. If you want to stay there, stay there. Like, we'll do everything we can to help you. But you can't just quit. You can't do that. Like, you're stronger than that. You can do whatever you need to do, you can do. Like, you're able to do it. You're able to make this change and improve your life. And I think it was, if not the next day, the day after was the first time I went for a run. And then that was kind of the start of me going from rock bottom to rebuilding myself.
Are you a small business or solo entrepreneur who wishes you had more hours in the day? Have you ever thought about hiring a virtual assistant? Well, the Bondi Podcast is sponsored by Remote-E. Remote-E specialise in connecting small businesses and entrepreneurs with the best virtual assistant talent in the Philippines to do all those jobs that you don't want to, so you can focus on growing and scaling your business. If this is something you're interested in, the Bondi Podcast can get you 2 weeks absolutely free with Remote-E. Just go to the website, remote-e.com.au/contact and enter the referral code Bondi for 2 weeks absolutely free. That's 2 weeks absolutely free. Cheers. So before we get into that, Sam, looking back on that phone call with your mum, do you think you were serious about taking your own life?
I don't know if I would have actually done it, but I just didn't want to be here no more. I was sick of the constant battle in my head that I'd had for the last, like you said, was it really the last 10, 15 years, or was it that the 10, 15 years I'd been masking it for so long that the last 3 or 4 weeks prior to that period where it got so bad, it just threw me over the edge. I just didn't want to be here no more. I obviously just didn't want to deal with those emotions that I'd masked for such a long time.
Had it got to a point in your head where you were not just thinking about doing it, but thinking about how you would 100%, do it?
Yeah.
So what were you thinking?
Like overdose, throw myself in the ocean, like go and drown myself. Yeah, throw myself in front of a car. All of them thoughts came into my head about how I could do it.
How close did you ever get to doing any of that?
Not close enough. Like not. It's not like I got to the point where I went and bought anything to go and do it. But it was definitely, the thoughts were definitely in my head every day, and they was the majority of my thoughts during that 3 or 4 week period that I was kind of declining a lot quicker. Yeah.
How did you feel after that phone call with your mum?
Probably relieved that I'd kind of had that chat, and relieved that I had someone who wanted to help. Someone was in my corner. I'd felt so lonely, and I was actually like, I've got someone who wants to help me. Like, you've got someone who believes in you. So yeah, that was probably the light bulb moment, was that phone call.
Did you and your mum have like a plan then coming off that phone call? Was it a case of, let's speak again tomorrow,
we spoke the next day. The number one thing for her, which had been the number one thing from probably the age of 15, 16, was you need to stop drinking. She's always said it to me from a very young age, that I'm not good with drink compared to other people. It changes my personality. And her number one thing was, the first thing you need to do is knock drinking on the head. So that was the first thing I did. And then it was just one step at a time.
After that phone call with your mum, had the desire to potentially take your own life, had that gone out of your head? Are you like, actually, now that I've had this conversation, I know that I've got someone in my corner. I don't want to take that option anymore. Or was it still sort of lingering? It lingered. Like that's still an option.
It lingered for a while. I don't think it just disappears overnight. It definitely lingered for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about that first run then. So you said you had the conversation with your mum. That feels like the turning point in everything for you, Sam. Why a run? What led to you going, right, today I'm gonna go on a run, and this is like the first step on the journey?
The running thing's a bit mad because I'd run the London Marathon like years ago.
The full marathon. And I was still drinking then, smoking. I just limited when I was back in England the drinking. I just wouldn't smoke during the week and just smoke at the weekends because I was training for the marathon. That was like my mentality. I did the marathon, but like I weren't getting good times or nothing. I did it for charity. One of my best friends at home's family's got Huntington's disease. So originally we did it to try and raise money for them. Well, not for them personally, but for the charity. And we did like a big charity night and stuff. So I kind of had run before. Again, how that came about was when I got done for drink driving the second time, there was a bit of a chase with the police. I got out of my car and ran. And when it went to court, the police had said that they didn't think they was going to catch up with me. And my dad was like, see, you're a fucking good runner. Like, it's something you should pursue. Oh, good. Yeah.
So I think kind of going back to that, I was always told that I was like quite good at running. So I think when I was like at the point where I needed to make a change in my life, the first thing I kind of went to was, well, I can run. I know I can run. So let's start with that. Everyone says how good running is, the endorphins, all of that stuff. And I know I can do it. I've run a marathon a few times. That already gives me a bit of a head start. So I think that's why I went down the route with running. I'd already been going to a gym for a little while. I was going to one of them like boxing gyms. It's more like boxer size, which is, again, that was like to do with the weight loss kind of thing. But I knew with running, look, you're outdoors, fresh air, sun. Yeah, it's good for you.
So where did you go on that first run?
Down to Bondi and along the promenade and back.
Just a couple of times up and down?
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you how many Ks I'd done. It wouldn't have been a lot.
Like about 5, maybe less?
Probably not even that.
Yeah.
And I probably stopped quite a few times.
Do you remember how you felt after that run?
No, I don't really remember that first run. They all kind of merge into one. The one that sticks out to me was probably a little while after that. I'd probably been running for a little while. And the one that sticks out to me was running along Rose Bay. And that became one of my favourites, was like around the golf course. And then I ran like along Rose Bay, and I used to love it there. And I don't think I had Strava, but I don't know, maybe we just spoke about it. I remember one of my mates saying to me, like, God, bearing in mind you just started running, like you just ran 10K in like 45 minutes. Like, that's really good.
It's better than my...
And I was like, is it?
It's better than my PB, mate, yeah. I got my 10K PB during the week there, and it was about 47, 48 minutes.
Yeah, still good.
But you're...
So, yeah.
Yeah, so you're pumping... Even in those early days, you were pumping out a 10K in 45 minutes or so.
That was probably like a couple of months in, month or two in. I mean, my first run, we actually went through I had an Apple Watch then, and we went through right to the beginning. And I think my first 5K was 45 minutes.
Right.
Yeah. So even then it was like a quick progression, like a couple of months in. And then did we have another lockdown in 2021?
Yeah.
And it was that lockdown I kind of went from 5K to 30K in the space of like 5-6 weeks.
Yeah. So you used that second lockdown nearly to your advantage. You're like, I'm going to double down on the
sober,
running.
tried to like eat very healthily, running every other day, doing something every day, like trying to train every day.
I'm interested in how you got from this point. So the running into triathlons, but before we sort of talk about that link, you've so we went into lockdown in 2021, middle of the year, say. So
Yeah.
you'd been on this sort of
For a few
journey
months.
for probably 6 months,
Yeah,
from
maybe,
January to like
yeah.
June, July. I think we went into that lockdown. I'm interested in how your social life sort of changed during that period, because I've been off the booze for 2 years now.
Yeah, right,
I
okay.
gave it up, and we've had a few guests on the podcast where they've given up booze, and it's interesting how your social circle changes. So I'm interested in how your social circle changed during that period, and whether that was difficult or not, because I certainly found it difficult and a bit lonely at times, but I don't know your experience.
Yeah, it was very difficult. I could actually pinpoint it. My birthday is the 5th of February, so that's like a month into me kind of being sober. And we'd planned to do something for my birthday, and I obviously wasn't drinking. And I had people say that it was like a meal or something, they weren't coming because I wasn't drinking. Then
How did that feel?
oh, like so hurtful. And I remember having a conversation with one of them, and they said, we'll do something when you're drinking again. And I said, I'm not going to be drinking again. And it was kind of like just tumbleweed in the conversation then, because it was like, well, I think that pretty much seals the deal. Like, you don't want to be my mate no more if I'm going to continue down this route of being sober. And that carried on and on for a while with different people. I remember getting uninvited to round someone's house because I wasn't drinking. It wouldn't be fun for them.
Why do you think people, I've got my own theories, why do you think people react like that when you say you want to make a change and stop drinking?
I think there's a couple of reasons. I think one, I'd be the topic of conversation on a night out because I would be the most pissed and act like an absolute fool. But also it shines, like it puts a mirror on them, right? And I think some people don't want to be around people who are achieving more than they are or trying to better themselves. And yeah, it just shines a light on them and makes them look at themselves in the mirror.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think some people find it confronting when one of their friends, potentially like a big pisshead like yourself, is making these changes, and maybe deep down inside they want to make a change as well, but they don't have it in them at that point in time to do it. So it's quite confronting to them. And as you say, you're holding up that mirror.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%.
So have you lost a lot of friends over this journey, Sam?
Yeah, but I've also gained a lot, which is my whole relationship with drinking. Like, drinking was always taking way more away from me than what it was ever given to me. And yeah, so during that period, I did lose a lot. But you also mix it in different circles. So it's not necessarily people who are like very close to you. It's just people in the similar circles with you. You don't have anything in common anymore. You're doing different things. So I lost a lot of friends. Were they really my friends? I lost a lot of acquaintances. I was just mixing in different circles.
Because the only time you would have saw those acquaintances was
when we were
in
drinking.
the pub.
Yeah. But I've also got a group of friends, not even in the same group, from all different groups, who were my friends then that are my friends now and have been with me all the way through and are the most supportive people in my life. Over here, that is. Well, no, I've had the same at home. Like when I've gone home and was sober, like you realise that people who you've been friends with for 20 years are just not, the only thing you had in common was the drinking. Like, so yeah, it's changed. Thinking about it now, it's changed here and at home. But then also I've gained a lot of friends here from changing my circle.
And Chris Williamson talks about it in his podcast quite a lot, what's called like the lonely period, where you are trying to like make a big change in your life and you're drifting away from this friendship circle over here. You haven't quite made all your new friends from the new things you're doing over here. And there is like a bit of a lull in the middle. Did you go through that
100%?
as well, Sam?
And not just with people. you got to think most of my time was spent in a pub around people. So when I weren't doing that, it weren't because of the friendships changing. It was that I had loads of spare time. So like, I weren't sitting in the tea gardens from 11 o'clock on a Saturday morning. I kind of went for a run, and then what was I doing for the rest of my day? Like, so I spent a lot of time on my own, but probably because of two things. Because one, my friendship circle's kind of changing and going through that transition period. But two, because I had all this spare time to fill, and I was just spending it with myself. Yeah.
So let's talk about, you've got all the spare time to fill now. Let's fill it with a triathlon. So how did the journey from running to let's give a triathlon a go, how did that sort of come about?
As I carried on running, I don't know if this was before, well, this was probably during that lockdown period. There was a run club that used to meet down at Bondi Lifesavers on a Sunday morning, and they used to run to Clovelly and back. And I had seen it on Facebook, and I was like building up the courage to go to it. And I think I went down there maybe 4 or 5 different times. Didn't have the bollocks to walk over, so I walked straight past them. And then went and done my own run around the golf course again at Rose Bay. And then I think it was like the 4th or 5th time I got down there, it was pissing down rain. And I was like, no, do you know what? I've walked down here now, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, I'm soaked through, like you're going over. Like you're going over, there's no reason, like...
What were you scared about? Why didn't you go?
I think it's that thing of taking myself out of my comfort zone. Like I weren't really doing that before. Whereas doing it now, like taking myself out of my comfort zone, it scared me. But that day, don't know what it was. Well, I don't know what it was, but that day I'd like made a rule with myself, and I was like, you are going over. And I went over and introduced myself. I felt like an absolute fool. But that kind of started it. So I got in with them and started running with them at the weekends, and had met someone there who had done a triathlon, and then things just kind of fell into place. I had another friend who was like training with like a social triathlon group. They're called the All Sorts.
Oh yeah.
So I started running with them as well on a Tuesday morning. And that's how I kind of got into it. Was kind of starting with that mega run, got me used to, I guess, running with other people. I was too scared to run with other people for that. I don't know why. I just didn't have the confidence to do it. But I think, doing that first kind of run club is what gave me the confidence to go and try something else. I'd taken myself out of my comfort zone to go to that run club. And then it was like, right, well, what's next? What next is out of my comfort zone? And that was triathlon.
So you obviously now, Sam, you're doing like the full Ironman triathlons, but I think you started off with, was it the Noosa triathlon back in November 2022?
Yeah.
Was that your first triathlon?
It was, yeah.
So let's talk, just to set the scene, what are the distances for that triathlon?
For Noosa, 1.5k swim, 40k bike, and a 10k run.
Is that a sprint, or is that something?
Olympic distance?
That's Olympic distance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So so you've decided to enter this with some friends, I assume? No,
so the All Sorts, it had been like postponed for the last couple of years because of COVID and stuff. So it was a sold out triathlon. I think it's the biggest triathlon in the Southern Hemisphere.
The Noosa one?
Yeah.
Right.
I was going to say the world. I don't know. Definitely the Southern Hemisphere. And the All Sorts work alongside the Kids Foundation, or they like partner with the Kids Foundation, who are a charity for children who they're burns victims. And just through running with the All Sorts, it had come to light that the All Sorts had all these charity spots for the Noosa Tri later that year. You just had to raise money. So that was kind of the start of it. It was like, right, okay, well, I've got a spot for Noosa Tri if I want it.
You're already a good runner.
I've already started running.
Yeah.
So now it's time to go and buy a bike.
And get like a wetsuit or something.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't even buy a wetsuit. I remember going to the pool. I went on my own. I was too nervous to go with anyone else. I could not swim. I could barely swim a length. And then I went and saw like a swimming instructor. I just wanted someone to tell me that I weren't going to drown.
Yeah.
And that's how it kind of started. Bought a bike off Facebook Marketplace for $200.
Got all the Lycra.
No, I was too embarrassed.
Didn't even go like
I
that?
remember buying a pair of like cycling bibs and wearing Nike shorts over the top of the Nike t-shirt because I was too embarrassed to be seen in Lycra. Yeah. So that's how it kind of started. I'd got a spot through a charity to go to Noosa Try and just went and kind of bought this stuff and was just like, right, let's give this a crack and just see what happens.
So you mentioned like the swimming training started pretty slow. You got an instructor.
Yeah.
Like talk me through like the prep and the training for that first triathlon. 'Cause I know friends that do Ironman triathlons, half Ironman. They're training twice a day. Like it's a full commitment. So what did training for that first triathlon like look like in terms of the hours you were putting in each week?
I don't remember how many hours I was putting in, but someone gave me a free training program. Yeah. So it had listed out like your sessions that you was doing throughout the week.
So you're doing 2 a day or 1 a day?
Sometimes 2, sometimes 1.
Run, swim.
Yeah, run, swim,
bike,
or you do like a brick session, which would be a bike and a run. Normally bigger sessions on the weekends. So yeah, there was like an amalgamation of stuff to do throughout the week. And I just used that. I just used this free guide that I'd been given to train with. Yeah.
And in the build up to, how are you feeling like in the build up for that first triathlon, like on your way up to Noosa?
Nervous, but excited as well because I hadn't done one before, so it was exciting. And there was a big group of us, loads of us. I think there was like 40 of us that went up, all part of the All Sorts. So it was like, it was an amazing thing to be a part of. And obviously off the back of that, I caught the bug. Yeah,
right. How did you go in that first one?
I did it in like just under 2.5 hours, which is not bad for my first one.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And
did well.
Hooked immediately?
I think so. Well, yeah, I was. Off the back of that, I was like, right, sign me up. When's a 70.3, like half Ironman?
Yeah, was that the next step then, Sam?
Yeah.
Like, so did the Noosa Olympic distance.
Yeah.
Was like, right, let's step it up and do a half Ironman. So remind us, what are the distances in the half Ironman?
A 1.9k swim, 90k bike, half marathon.
Half marathon to finish.
Yeah.
So did you do your first half Ironman about a year later, September 23?
I did, but I'd signed, so off the back of Noosa, which was in the November of 22, I signed up to Port Macquarie 70.3, which would have been in the following May. Got a coach. We kind of started with him in the January and did a 3-month training block towards Port Macquarie. 2 weeks before Port Macquarie, I had a pretty bad cycling accident.
What happened?
I just got a TT bike, which is one of them bikes where you go down on the bars. And I was cycling down in Kurnell, and I was like 89k into a 90k ride or something. I was like right at the end of it. Head down in the aero bars, obviously looking down, not great. There was a boat parked on the side of the road that I obviously didn't see. The line for the cycle path broke, and I looked up like at the last minute, but it was too late and I just went smack into the back of the boat.
Oh, how fast were you going?
Probably about 35, 36 kilometers an hour. I was very lucky that I looked up when I did because my head missed the boat, but my knee got the brunt of the propeller and my collarbone got the brunt of the corner of the boat. That's what that scar is on my knee there.
Yeah.
So the propeller ripped my knee open there and my leg down there.
So what injuries did you sustain?
I had a broken collarbone. And then my knee, I was very lucky. When I got taken into hospital, they was like, you're probably about 1 millimeter away from maybe even losing your leg. Like, it kind of grazed everything in the knee, but didn't cause any permanent damage. So the surgery was more to just go in there and clean out any debris. So I was very, very lucky with my knee, and then broke my collarbone.
Bondi Podcast listeners, this episode is sponsored by Chief Nutrition. Chief Nutrition specialise in healthy, nutritious snacks that cut the crap. My personal favourite is the collagen protein bar, which I have every day. And good news, Bondi Podcast listeners get 10% off all Chief Nutrition products when they order online. And we've got a discount code for you right there in the show notes. So go and use that. Go and check out the website and let me know what you think. Cheers. That's a lot, mate. So you were training for Port Macquarie, got this mad injury. How long were you on the road to recovery for before you were sort of back to full health?
A good while. I got discharged from hospital and I was like, I weren't mobile at all. I had to have help for everything because obviously I had one arm and one leg. So like that first night out of hospital, I had to have people, like mates, help me shower. I couldn't cook. So like there was definitely a good 5 weeks, I would say 5-6 weeks where I couldn't do anything myself. As the stitches started to heal on that, I was in the hospital every week, like for them to check on progress and stuff. As the stitches started to heal, I think I drove him mad. Every week I was in there, I was like, can I get back on my bike yet? Can I get back on my bike? Because I had an indoor trainer, so you take the back wheel off your bike and you can cycle indoors. And I still had that first road bike. I'd written the TT bike off, but I still had the first road bike. So yeah, probably like 7 weeks after, once the stitches and the scab had started to heal and stuff, I was allowed to go back in on the indoor trainer. Then it was kind of like the week my sling came off and that had started to heal. I weren't allowed in the water, but I was definitely cycling on the indoor trainer a lot because I was cycling on the indoor trainer with my arm in a sling. I then got hit with something else, like really bad stomach pains, and got taken into hospital, and turned out I had chronic inflammation to my bowel, stomach, and had pneumonia. So then that obviously put me back.
At the same time when you're recovering from?
Yeah.
Oh, mate.
Yeah. And I was in hospital then for 2 weeks.
How did that flare up?
They actually think the cause of that was off the back of the stress of the accident.
Right.
So they think now that the stress of what happened, when I had that accident, caused all of that on my insides. And a year later, ended up being a Crohn's disease diagnosis.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I don't know how Crohn's comes about, but from speaking with another previous guest we had on the podcast, he seems to think his was like stress related from his childhood. Like, is there a chance that if you'd never had that accident and put your body through that amount of stress, you wouldn't have Crohn's disease?
No, I think what's come to light since is that I've had Crohn's disease for a lot of my life, but it was just lingering in the background.
And it just flared up off?
It flared up off the stress caused by that accident, which has led to then me getting taken into hospital with these severe stomach pains. And it's turned out that it's Crohn's disease.
So how does Crohn's disease impact your day to day?
It's been a big adjustment.
What are some of the symptoms, just for people who might not know?
Like fatigue's a big one, stomach pain's a big one, like very loose stool. I don't really suffer that much with like the bathroom urgency, which is quite good. Fatigue is definitely a big one I've suffered with, and stomach pain. My stomach just it's delicate. It just feels very delicate.
What flares it up? I've had one guest say one cherry tomato and he can be knocked out for a week. Like,
gluten's been a big thing. So I've cut probably that like 80% out of my diet. I still have a little bit here and there, but gluten's been a big thing. Again, like lactose, garlic and onions, quite a big one.
Yeah. Because it's acidic, isn't it?
Yeah. But cutting all of that stuff out of my diet has really helped with all the symptoms. I mean, after the Ironman the other week, I went a bit mad and just ate whatever I wanted. And I was in such pain, like, again, bent over in pain. My stomach was absolutely killing because I've obviously just not looked after myself for that week off the back of the Ironman, but I was just a bit like, I'm going to treat myself to everything.
Yeah, fair enough.
So all of them things do kind of cause it. Again, I can get away with little bits here and there, but going and eating a bowl of pasta is not going to do me any favours. Which is
a shame when you're trying to train for a full Ironman triathlon and you just need to smash the carbs, right?
Yeah, I mean, rice is saving grace. I have loads of rice.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Rice and potatoes, but no pasta.
Shit. Let's look back to the build up to that first half Ironman. How did your how did your training step up a level? That's obviously a step up. It's a step up in terms of the distance you need to cover from the Olympic distance.
Yeah.
So how did your training sort of step up as well?
Massively. Like before, I was just cycling around Centennial Park to get your 40k in. Whereas when you're doing over double the distance, probably stepped up. I was probably doing like 13, 14 hours a week at that point. Your Saturday mornings are gone. You're out doing big rides on the Saturday, followed by a run off the bike, long run on a Sunday. So like I'd say probably double the amount of training during the week compared to what I had done for Noosa. But also I had a coach, so the training was probably a bit more intense as well, compared to me just having a sheet of paper and kind of making it up as I was going along.
Yeah, right. And how did you? So you actually you missed the Port Macquarie?
I couldn't do Port Macquarie,
but you did.
I did Western Sydney later in the year. I deferred my space from Port Mac and did Western Sydney.
And how did you go on that one?
Yeah, good. I think I'd done it in 4:44.
Yeah.
Which is like good for a first 70.3 to break 5 hours. I was over the moon. Like I thought I'd get around the 5 hour mark, so to get 15 minutes under. I was absolutely delighted. But it felt like it was a long road to get there with kind of that accident and then being back in hospital again and then the Crohn stuff all going on. But it was a great day.
So Sam, before we move on to like the step up then to the full Ironman, you'd been making changes in your life for about 2.5 years.
Yeah.
At that point in time. So that was September 2023, I think I'm right in saying. So you obviously had that inflection point at the start of 2021.
But they'd all been gradual.
Yeah. What I want to sort of delve into now is how, like, the correlation between you like stepping up and like improving and dedicating a large portion of your life to this thing you're really passionate about in triathlons and pushing your body and looking after your health and fitness. But I want to, how did that correlate to like turning your life around in other ways outside of just the sport itself? Was there like a positive correlation in other things? Like you mentioned earlier about I think you've mentioned about going to see a therapist at some point to actually address those mental health issues. Yeah. So outside of your physical fitness, what other improvements were you making in your life over that 2.5 year period?
A lot. I mean, obviously, they're not drinking. That was a big one. I think what triathlon gave me and what all the training gave me was structure and a good routine. So like when that kind of period where I was like at rock bottom, I'd bought this journal that kind of set out daily goals. I had daily goals to do. So at the beginning of the week, I'd say, right, I'm going to walk 10,000 steps, run 5K 3 times this week. I mean, during the period I was really at rock bottom, I weren't getting out of bed. One of my goals was get up in the morning, make your bed, have a shower. Like just them little goals. And they just progressed over time. So I think the training kind of went hand in hand with that. It kind of helped me set good habits and a good routine and good structure to my life. And that's something, again, like my mum has always said to me, I'm really good when I've got a plan. So I think the training gave me that plan. It gave me a structure. It gave me all of that. So therefore, outside of triathlon, it meant that I was excelling at work. Like I'd gone from kind of coasting at work. I don't even know how I got through with them sponsoring me because I was just completely coasting, to them actually saying to me like, well, we now see you as like, you've got a lot of potential here. Like you're really good at your job. So there was a lot of positives outside. The relationships around me was kind of investing a lot more into them. My family, we've got a great relationship now. I think the relationship I had with my mum for such a long time was so tainted because of all the drinking. So the training gave me purpose and structure, but that also gave me that outside of triathlon. It gave me purpose and structure outside of it as well. Yeah.
And when did you decide to tackle things like the anxiety and the panic attacks head on? Did you go and see a specialist? Did you go and see a therapist?
I went and saw a therapist. I actually was really lucky with what happened. So I started to get a bit sick again in the build up to Western Sydney. And my mum was like, I think you should go and see a doctor, because she was like, I was getting a really bad cough. And she was like, what if your pneumonia is not completely gone? So I was like, right. So I was going into the office one day and just Googled a doctor that was in Barangaroo. Went in and seen her. And she was like, what can I help you with? And I tried to explain what had happened. And she was like, look, let's just start from the beginning. And I ended up being in the GP's office for like an hour. She listened to everything. And she's been like a huge help to me. So she's the one that eventually referred me to see a therapist. So she's been a massive help to me. And yeah, so seeing that therapist was something that I did at that time. And it was, great. It was very beneficial to me and kind of helped me realise, maybe not realise what was causing, well, I know what was causing it. It was obviously all the drinking and stuff, but she really helped me with how to cope with it and how, when those feelings come up, what I should be doing.
So what did she say? What advice did she give you?
It was all about a lot about self-love and telling myself that everything's okay. It's okay to feel this way. Yeah, that it was a lot of like self-love, taking a step back, breathing, a lot of breathing exercises. She'd done some other stuff with me, like trying to talk to like the inner child.
Inner child work.
I didn't really get on well with that. I couldn't really. I weren't really good with that.
This is all like about like visualizing yourself as a little boy in your bedroom, and then like you going to give him a hug and stuff like that.
And she like talks to you as if you're that child. And I just couldn't really. I remember sitting there saying to her like, "I'm not doing this right," and she was like, "You're doing great," and I was like, "No, I'm not doing this right." Yeah.
But you found maybe not the inner child work, but you found the therapy more generally like helpful.
I think maybe just talking to someone and getting. There's a lot of thoughts and feelings that you have that you don't necessarily want to share with your friends and family. Like, and I think having someone who's a stranger who I could just get things off my chest to, who I could talk to about everything, and there was like that trust there. I think that was probably the biggest thing that helped. And then all of the kind of tips and tricks she gave me to kind of cope beyond that. I mean, also I think taking the drink away took a lot of the anxiety away anyway. Mm-hmm. So don't get me wrong, there's been times where I've had dips again, but on the whole, I think the drinking took a lot of it away. Yeah. Yeah.
When did the suicidal thoughts stop?
I couldn't tell you. They just kind of like
disappeared.
Yeah, just kind of disappeared. I think as I got further into that year of 2021, as that year kind of went on, they just kind of faded away. I remember my mum and dad coming over in like January, February 2022. It was not long before I had my accident. And sitting at the top of Queen's Park, and my mum was just like, "You're a different person. Like, you're just so happy." And I think that at that point is when I kind of took a step back and thought, well, everyone's noticing it around me now that I'm just a completely different person. I'm so happy in myself. My mum and dad were like, "You've built such a great life for yourself here." So I think that was kind of the time when I look back now that I kind of first took a step back and thought, look where I am now compared to where I was 12 months ago. Yeah.
Awesome. So back to the Ironman and the triathlons.
Yeah.
As soon as you'd finished that half Ironman triathlon in September 23, did you know that your sights were on a full?
Yeah. I went a bit off the rails.
In what sense?
I started drinking again after that.
Why did you do that?
I don't really know.
So after that half Ironman in September 2023, you've been off the booze for about 2.5 years.
Yeah.
You went back to it?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I think I'd had that accident. The whole thing with Crohn's disease was going on. I didn't really deal with any of the emotions during that time. I was so tunnel visioned. Like, as soon as I got out of the hospital, it was like, I need to get fit again. Like, I'm not going back to where I was. And the analogy I remember using was, I'd got to like the brow of a hill and someone had just booted me right back to the bottom. And I just didn't want to go back to that place. I was so focused on, I need to get fit again. I'm doing another half Ironman. Even the physio was like to me, there's not, like, it's in September. It's like 3 months away at this point. Like, I think it's a bit unachievable. I was just so tunnel visioned. And I think once I did the 70.3, it was like the monkey was off my back. And again, probably I had to deal with all of the emotions that I hadn't dealt with since the accident. And just went, the way that I know how to deal with that is to drink. So it was just like, let's just go and block it all out again.
So it was a coping strategy?
Probably like coping thing, right. Yeah.
And was it like the intensity of like the sessions you were on, like the drinking sessions, was it just like, 2020?
October
drinking?
bank holiday, I went out on like the Friday and got home on the Monday.
Just a full weekend bender?
Full weekend bender.
With that old friend, with the boozy friendship group or like a new group of friends?
Yeah, like a new kind of group of friends.
Oh, mate.
But I remember like my mates, the ones who were like, have been my mates all the way through, texting me being like, Sam, go home. What are you doing still out? Like 3 days on. Yeah.
And so your friends, some of your friends who've been supportive
they
of
was
your
all
journey,
like,
they're
what are you doing?
And what about your mum?
If she listens to this, it'll probably be the first time she's hearing that.
Fuck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how long did that last? No, let's talk about that session on the Monday at the October bank holiday. How did you feel on the Monday?
Actually, not that bad, which is mental, isn't it? But obviously, my mental health, again, I think that first weekend probably didn't affect me too much, but then it was like, weren't just that weekend. That weekend was like the first bit, and then I carried on drinking for a few weeks after that. Probably a couple of months it ended up being, all in all.
Yeah, so back on it for a few months.
Drinking.
Training, were you still training? Or
I was still training, just not as much.
Yeah, right. So how did you get out of that spiral or that routine?
Again, got to like a kind of crossroads again. And I was like, right, I am heading back down the path I was on a couple of years ago. I need to stop. I've done this before. I can do it again. Like, this time it's easy because I know I've got all the tools to do it. I've done it once before. So to stop myself now before it gets worse is going to be easy. So that kind of was probably the first week in December. And I was going home for Christmas. And I remember thinking, I can't go back to England as the old version of me. I've spent all this time working so hard to be the best version of myself. I can't go back to England to all my friends and family at home and present the old version of me. Like, I just can't do it. So, yeah, it was kind of that first week in December, I was like, you need to draw a line under it. And that's what I did. And I went home, didn't drink for that whole Christmas period. Was kind of back on the straight and narrow again. But yeah, I'd probably been nearly 2 years sober by that point.
And have you been on the straight and narrow ever since?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm sober now. I do have the occasional drink. I'll drink after a race. I'll smoke after a race. Yeah, like, soon as a race finishes, that's all I want is like
a fag,
a drink and a fag. I feel like I've been so good for such a like extended period of time that I just need to do something a bit naughty.
So you've learnt the skill of moderation.
I don't know if I've learnt the skill of moderation, but
or abstinence.
Yeah.
And then you can just you give yourself a day. Yeah.
And like, so this time doing the Ironman in France, we was in France for a couple of days after, all my friends and family were there. So I was drinking for those couple of days and smoking. But then, haven't since. Yeah. And probably won't now. I may have the odd drink here and there. But I'm also not in an environment where I'm ever going out on the piss. Like, the most it'll be is I'm going out for dinner and I might have 2 drinks.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, I'm not living in those environments where it's like that party lifestyle. So
I used to do something similar, Sam. So when I was drinking, I would sometimes like bum a few cigarettes off a friend or whatever on a night out, like a menthol.
Yeah.
And it would be nice at the time, but then the next day you'd be like, oh, you're like,
100%.
that feeling in your throat, like, oh, that's disgusting.
I know.
And it like enhances the hangover.
Yeah.
So I sort of put some rules in place for myself, and I was like, right, I will not smoke the entire year, but on the 1st of January, New Year's Day, if I'm on the piss that day, I'll allow myself to have a few cigarettes. So I kind of know where you're coming from.
It's like my little treat.
Yeah, like I don't do it. I don't do that anymore. Like I've been off the booze for nearly 2 years. By the time this comes out, 2 years, and I've never had a sober cigarette, so it's kind of like all the bad habits that would go along with having like a couple of drinks. But I always ask myself the question, like, have I gone too far the other way? Like, instead of like, I just completely abstain from it now, so I don't have it. And I'm like, should I have just learnt how to moderate rather than completely abstaining from it? I don't know the answer, to be perfectly honest.
I think that's a really hard to moderate. Is a really hard thing to learn. I don't think if I was back in an environment where it was really boozy, I would definitely go 100% back the other way.
Yeah.
But I don't put myself in that situation, so I wouldn't say I've learned the art of moderation. I'm just not in a situation where it's really boozy, and if I am, then I'm normally sober during that.
Yeah, but you give yourself a couple of days a year, maybe after a race, to just go, right, today's the day. And then
it's a bit of an ongoing joke with my mates with the smoking thing, because they're like, the quicker you run, the quicker you can have a cigarette at the end.
Do you know what was interesting to see? Do you remember when Will Googe was doing his challenge across Australia?
I was getting all them sent to me because he was smoking.
That's as soon as, so for those who don't know, Will Googe, English guy, ran from Perth, which is in the west coast of Australia, to Bondi earlier this year, broke the record. But the first thing he did when he arrived back in Bondi was light up a cigarette and then sort of actually smoked it in front of the building that we're in now. So we're recording this in Bondi Pavilion. Those videos of Will Googe at the end of his race of him smoking a cigarette are outside the front of this building. But like, there's something in that. Like the sooner you finish the race, the sooner you can have that. Yeah.
I think it's about, you've got to treat yourself. I can't, doing like a 3-month stint of being so regimented with food, training, like everything, sleep, kind of my whole week is mapped out for me for that 3-month period. I just feel like I get across that line and I'm like, I'm going to treat myself for a few days now.
Each to their own. Yeah. And as long as you know that, I think it sounds like, Sam, you're like in a better place now to be like, you know that it's maybe going to be 1, 2 or 3 days and then it'll be right, I'm just back to normal. And
as soon as I got back to England, because we was only in France for another 3 days, but definitely since I've got back here, even with my diet, I'm back to normal now. Whereas that week after the race, I was kind of like eating a load of rubbish. Whereas now I'm like completely back. Right, that's it now. Straight and narrow again.
Yeah, good on you.
You've had your little treat.
Good on you. So we've not talked about the full Ironman. I think you did your first full Ironman June 24. Is that right? So June 24. And again, the distances here blow my mind, mate. So remind me of the distances for a full Ironman triathlon.
A 3.8k swim, 180k bike, and then a full marathon. Which I know they're not normal. I know it's not normal. And I remember, again, it was at the All Sorts. I kind of had first heard of an Ironman. One of the blokes that run it had done an Ironman the weekend I just kind of started going with the All Sorts. And I asked my mate, like, what is an Ironman? And he told me those distances. And I was like, nobody does them. Like, that's not real. Like, you can't humanly do that.
In one go.
One go. No way. Like, nobody does that. And then, before you knew it, what's that? Like a couple of years later, I'm lining up on the start line of Ironman Cairns doing my first one.
So that takes what, about 10 hours?
My first one took 10 hours 13, I think it was. 10 hours 13.
And then you did That's a fucking great time, by the way.
I think the average time for my age is like 12 or 13 hours. So yeah, I was like delighted with that.
I've just got really recently like into running over the last year and a half or so. So like me and all my friends are following each other on Strava. And everyone's sort of keeping an eye on everyone's sort of pace. After you've swam 3.8 kilometers and cycled 180 kilometers, what is your average pace over a marathon after doing those?
I don't know what my pace was. I ran it in, I think, 3:30, the marathon.
I think that's about 5. It's under 5
It'd
minute
be under
Ks.
5.
Under 5 minute Ks.
Yeah.
That's fucking mental.
I know, yeah.
So, like, what do you think, like, 2020 version or 2021 version of Sam, who couldn't probably even do like 3 kilometers or did a 5K in 45 minutes, right? If you had told him you'd be running that in a marathon after doing those previous distances, what do you think he would say?
That's a lie.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I don't think I'd ever would have thought that I was ticking them boxes, trying to just get up in the morning and make my bed and have a shower and go out for a walk in the mornings. Like, I don't think it was ever, I wouldn't have thought it was ever possible to have done that. I didn't think it was possible. I didn't know what it was. I didn't know anyone that had done one. So yeah, I just think the 2020 version of me just wouldn't have believed you.
It's incredible, mate.
Yeah.
So then you did another full Ironman later in 2024 and ended up qualifying for the World Championships.
Yeah, so
were you going into that race thinking I'm in for a sniff here to qualify for Worlds?
No way. There'd been talk about like maybe in a half Ironman distance I would potentially have qualified. But like that was like a big question mark. And also the way it works with the Ironman roll down, so what they do is they offer us, there's like a certain amount of slots allocated to an age group. Then if they're not taken, they roll down in the age group. So like you could come 50th in your age group and potentially still get a slot if no one's taken it before you. So that was always a possibility. It didn't even enter my head that I could have qualified for the World Champs, like not at all. I don't even think the time that I got for the second Ironman was even, my aim was to just go sub 10.
And did you?
I done 9:18. So I went quite a bit under.
And a big improvement on your,
improvement.
Hour improvement on your first time.
Yeah. Wow. Granted, the ride didn't have as much elevation in it and it is a faster course, but like there was still a big improvement. My marathon, I shaved 25 minutes off the time. So I'd done that in like 3:05, I think it was. So that alone, I was in more shock than anyone else I was in more shock than anyone else. I couldn't believe it. And then kind of crossing that finish line, my dad was there and that was so special. And I finished 21st overall, which was, again, never a thing. Like I think prior to that, the September prior, like just before that, I'd done Western Sydney 70.3 again and came 10th in my age group. And like for me, I was like delighted with that. Whereas this time I'd come 21st overall. And I was like, what the hell? Like,
did you win your age group? Or
no, I came 6th or 7th in my age group.
Okay. And that was enough to qualify, or did you get a?
There was 10 slots in my age group.
Oh, amazing.
So the next day when we went to like the roll down ceremony, they kind of put up on the board how many slots there are per age group. And there was 10 slots. So walking in there straight away, I was like to my dad, we're going to France.
So all of a sudden you've got like a World Championships to prepare for?
Yeah.
Mate,
yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
How did that feel?
Oh, like over the moon. I actually just couldn't believe it. Like I just I couldn't believe it. On my second one as well.
Proud of yourself?
So proud of myself. So proud of myself. I think all the way through, like not even just achieving the World Champs, it's like from where I was mentally and physically to even, for the World Champs to even be a conversation on the table is just mental. And so I think even that, doing the Ironman was just, even having that and the ability to do that, I was just so proud of myself then. So yeah, an added bonus is qualifying for World Champs, because that was never on the cards.
And how did you go time-wise at the World Champs?
Slower than that. I did 10:20, but the bike course, like you cycle up a mountain.
Are you on like, whereabouts in France is it?
It was in Nice.
All right, okay.
So
nice.
the elevation's like 2,500 meters. Whereas the Ironman I did in Western Australia was probably like 600 or something.
And where did you place? Do you know?
I came 64th in my age group and 349th overall.
In the world?
In the world, yeah.
Mate, how do you feel about that?
I was a bit disappointed with my result. I really wanted to get under 10 hours. But yeah, like I lost 10, 15 minutes on the bike and probably lost 10 minutes on the run to what I thought I would get. So like when you put it like that overall, like, yeah, it's a great result. And like I said, to even have been there in the first place, yeah, like delighted, very, very happy. But just lights that fire inside me again. As soon as I'm finished, I'm like, right, what's next?
So what's next?
Ironman New Zealand, I think.
Was that Queenstown or?
It's in Taupo.
Amazing.
So I think that's the next Ironman for me. I don't think I'll do one before then. Well, I won't do an Ironman. I don't know if I'll do a race before then.
With a view to qualifying for Worlds again and going back?
The way Ironman World Champs works, they used to always be in Hawaii, which is where Ironman started. Then a couple of years ago, they started splitting it and doing the men's in Nice, women's in Hawaii, and then switching it.
Oh, mate.
I think because everyone in Hawaii was getting pissed off with the amount of people going over there for that weekend. But Ironman announced this year it's all going back to Hawaii. So I would really like to qualify for Hawaii now. Whether that's this year, well, next year, or the year after, I don't know. But yeah, it's definitely something I want to do.
It's a hell of a transition from that version of Sam from the end of 2020 to where you are now. If you were to boil it down to one thing that you could put your finger on and say, this is why, or this is the main contributing factor as to why that sort of caused that change, what would it be?
I think the running played the biggest part in everything, and I think it was the constant improvement. I was always chasing the improvement, and that's still what I'm doing now. Like, I love the feeling of getting better at something, and I think that's what gives me the drive to kind of push on. And like, running ultimately saved my life because it's taken me from that place to this place. So I think that's the kind of driving factor behind it all. Ultimately, is the running and striving to get better. But then also there's like a byproduct to all of that, which is getting better at everything else, being better at work, being a better son, being a better friend. Like, yeah, I think all of just the constant improvement now is what drives me to keep going all the time. And like I said, as soon as I crossed that finish line for the Ironman, it was like, right, what's next? I want to get better again. So yeah, just want to keep going until, I don't know, just see how far I can get with this and where I end up.
That's awesome, mate. Look, final question from me, Sam, and thank you for coming on. You've been an awesome guest. I've loved this chat, to be honest with you. The final question from me is, if we take you back to New Year's Eve, 2020, you've had that night out, you're having those suicidal thoughts, you're about to phone your mum, but you've not phoned your mum. If you could phone this version of Sam that's sitting in front of me today, what would you tell that version of Sam on the phone? What advice would you give him?
Start small. Just set some small goals. Just get up in the morning, make your bed, have a shower. Start really, really small. Like, what's the point in trying to, if you want to make a change, what's the point in trying to set something that's unachievable? The analogy I've used before is it's a marathon, not a sprint. So start small. You're never, ever going to be successful if you try and do everything all at once. So that would be my advice to the 2020 Sam, is start small, which is what I did. And those small little goals of just getting up in the morning and going for a little 10-minute walk has progressed into doing an Ironman and gone on to the World Champs. I think that's the best bit of advice I could give to anyone is, just start small, and then them goals grow. You start to feel proud of yourself for achieving those little things every day. And then those little goals get bigger and bigger and bigger. And here we are now trying to get to the Ironman World Champs for a second time. It's madness.
Awesome, mate. Really good place to leave it.
Thank you very
Sam.
much.
Cheers, mate. Loved it.